What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. If I sound like I'm screaming, it's because we got kind of a light breeze out here, and I want to make sure that you're able to hear me. So I'm sitting at home in colorful Colorado. I've been kind of in the midst of my 2-year review with Prime, and my next video was supposed to be my review of fleet management, and in specifically my fleet manager, but that's going to take a little bit more effort to do. And I just got off the phone with somebody that was trying to figure out how they could maximize their profit. And this isn't the first time. It seems like every time I talk to somebody and they're curious about how to make more money, I'm always drilling down on them logs. And it seems like that is the easiest way for me to tell if somebody's going to make money or not, is how serious they take their logs. Now, the logs class at Prime is excellent. I'm going to tell you that right now. I think a lot of people go to that logs class and just think about it as something that they need to get out of their way. But there's always these little tricks and stuff like that that they kind of teach you there that kind of can expand your time during the day. And I'll be honest with you, once this COVID situation works its way out, every time I'm at the terminal and have time, I will go sit in on a logs class, because I think that logs class is that important. Now, specifically, my logs advisor, I think my logs advisor, I'm going to tell you right now, Debbie, she's the bomb, okay? And one thing I've tried to do with every person that I've touched at Prime is to take it from a transactional experience to a personal experience. So I don't just call up there and act like I'm, a truck number or something like that. I tried to build a relationship on that. And that's helped me in a number of different ways. Just thinking on how I run my logs, it's not as necessary as it was when I first started. But I remember getting loads when I first got out on my own and I wasn't sure how to run them or if I could run them with the hours on my clock. First thing I did was call my logs advisor. And I don't think enough people are taking advantage of that. I think people are looking at their logs advisor like it's just somebody in the periphery, when they should be looking at them as somebody that can actually help you expand your hours in a day and help you make more money or show you how to run a specific load. That's just one way they come in handy. I mean, there was a time that I came back to Colorado, put my truck in the shop at Peterbilt because I just wanted to get some a PM done on it. Forgot to log out, and my logs, if I was like 25 miles away, called my logs advisor, and Debbie, boom, went in there and hooked me up, logged me out of the system, and it saved me a bunch of time. A lot of people don't really think about things like that. Every time I'm in the terminal and my logs advisor is there, I will at least stop by and just say, what's up? Because when you're calling in, you don't want to be that truck number. Everybody complains about being at a mega carrier and all you are is a truck number. Well, you are only a truck number if that's all that you put out there. If you put yourself out there as more of a name as opposed to a truck number, that's how you're going to be looked at. So, that's my kind of thoughts on that. Now, my review on the logs department, I think the logs class is excellent. The logs class has taught me a bunch of different ways on how to run my clock, a bunch of different ways on how to use personal conveyance, yard movement, different things like that. Now, one thing I will say, now they did just change up the way that logs were being ran, as opposed to showing up at your shipper or receiver and then PCing back to the truck stop. So before, what they were teaching in logs class was show up at your shipper receiver, show that you arrived, PC to the truck stop, and then PC back to that shipper or receiver. Those things have changed, and that wasn't necessarily put out there to everybody. So that, I think little things like that should be put out there when there's little changes like that are being made, because I do know of a driver that's kind of got caught up in that situation, not knowing that has changed. So when they told me what the situation was, I was like, that's not right. And then they said, well, that's what my logs advisor told me. So I actually called my logs advisor, and she told me that had changed. So maybe updating things a little bit as far as that goes would be helpful, but Uh, that's really my only complaint about the logs department. If you do not have a personal relationship with your logs advisor, I'm telling you, you are losing out. And it could just be questions. You know what? Every time I'm going over my personal conveyance. So you could be in one of those truck stop deserts where it might be over an hour to get to your uh, place where you're going to park or something like that. I will always call, and I don't always get my logs advisor depending on the day, time of day, but I will always call and alert them that I will be going over my 1 hour on personal conveyance, and here's why. Now, I don't know if that's necessary, but to me, that's just another contact. You know what I mean? And what, the business I came out of is the more contacts you make with a certain person, the more you're going to be at the forefront of their mind. So I will always do that. I'd say the most important thing that you could learn when it comes to logs, or what your logs advisor could teach you, is how to use split schedules, whether it be a 7-3 split, 8-2 split, or however you want to split that up. Because split schedules, if you aren't running a split schedule on your logs, and I would say somewhat frequently, you are losing out on money. And I will say this to just about anybody, whether they've been driving longer than me, shorter than me, whatever. If you're not using split schedules, you are not optimizing your logs. Now, that is going to take a personal toll on you and things like that. And sometimes, like I said in a previous video of mine, sometimes you got to tap out. The hours that you're running don't necessarily match the actual hours that you are doing, but it will allow you to squeeze more hours out of that day, or days in general. So if I was to rate my logs advisor, I'm going to say my logs advisor, I'm going to have to give her a 4.75 out of 5. I would give the logs department in general a 4.5 out of 5. And I'm just going to say that just out of the only reason I even hit them for that little quarter of a point is because they didn't relay the new information about being able to PC from a truck stop to, or from a chipper receiver to a truck stop, then PC back. So if you happen to be watching this, that is a change that was made with Prime. You can keep doing it how you want to do it, but I did verify that with my logs advisor. The only reason I'm giving my logs advisor the quarter point hit, at 4.75 as opposed to 5, is she can't be there 100% of the time. If my logs advisor was the one that was answering the phone every single time I called, she would be getting a 5 out of 5. And you know what? It's nothing personal against the other logs advisor. I'm sure I would be as loyal to them as I am to my logs advisor, but sometimes I just feel like I'm talking to a substitute teacher when I'm not talking to my logs advisor, just because I've built that relationship up with my logs advisor. But if you happen to be a Prime and Debbie is your logs advisor, and you ever have questions about logs, and I'm sure this would relate to anybody in logs, they will walk you through different scenarios. They'll tell you how to run stuff. Use them as a resource. Don't just use them as somebody that's there to hem you up if you run over on logs, which, I'd never had a log violation, so I'm happy to say that. And I'd like to give props to my logs advisor for keeping me out of that situation, or teaching me how to run and not be in that situation. And we're about, never had to worry about it when I was teaming with my trainer, but since I got out on my own, there are definitely times when you could run into those times when you might run over. And I think another little hit I'd put on them is sometimes, not being a truck driver, they might think it's just a little bit easier than it is to just park for the night and shut it down. I remember there was a time I was coming through I-70. I think I might have been in Ohio at some point late at night. Tried stopping at a few different places, and it was getting kind of dangerous, and I called into logs, and they were like, there's no parking lot or something you could park in. Well, you know what? That's not always That's not always an option. You know what I'm saying? So I think that sometimes they're a little bit unaware of what the reality is for the truck drivers out there. But in general, if you go to that logs class, and I'm saying multiple times, uh, you'll learn different ways to kind of run your logs, stretch out your day, things like that. So anyway, that's my review on the logs department. Take that class as many times as you can, especially if you're, well, it's different now with this COVID situation. But if I was upgrading, I would take the logs class, and then if I didn't have a load leaving out directly and there was another logs class there, I would take that logs class again, because your logs has almost as much to do with how much money you're making as your fleet manager does. And being able to run those logs allows your fleet manager to run you more efficiently. And on top of that, your fleet manager understanding that you know how to run your logs lets him run you, or her run you, more efficiently as well. So if they know that you aren't aware of how to run your logs, they're going to send you loads based on your inability to run those logs. If they know that you know how to run A2 split, things like that, they're going to send you a load that is going to require that split without either having to tell you how to do it or assuming that you're going to know how to do it before you turn the load down based on how many hours you have on your clock. Anyway, that's about it. That's all I got to say. I'm about to run in here. I'm not sure if I'm going to cook these chicken wings for my cooking channel, No Hippie Barbecue and Cooking, today, or if I'm going to do them tomorrow. But we are going to knock out some cooking videos for my cooking channel this time out, because it's been a while since I've had a chance to throw one of those videos up. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.